urge, got to splurge on a slave to all my desires. Well, I'm in a mess, 'cause I can't repress all of these bad habits. All of these bad habits. Oh, all of these bad habits.
Now normally today I read out the 26 odd members of the Parliamentary Friends of the Bring Julian Assange Home Group. Not one of them could stand up last week and second the private members bill put forward by George Christensen, a bill entitled the Julian Assange Bill, which was a bill to make it illegal to jail journalists and to make any politician or legal representative that does so liable for 7 years incarceration. Now that bill should have gone through the Parliament. It should have gone through the Parliament to end this travesty of justice against Julian. And there are supposedly 26 odd federal parliamentarians that call themselves the Friends of the Bring Julian Assange Home Group, but not one of them could step up. Shame on all of you. We record these events every week and they appear on a YouTube channel. If you'd like to watch it, it's called Gong Steve. That's one word, G-O-N-G S-T-E-E-E, Gong Steve. Not Rudolph S, not Jacob Spy, not adulterous wives who lie. It's truth that's hung on Julian's tongue. Your crimes he dared to magnify. Woe to the Crown in London town. Your Parliament is a mess. Your leaders buffoons with big festoons. Your no forks to torture in hand.
More I see you, more I want you. Somehow the feeling it just grows and grows. With every song I become more man without you, more lost without you. And so don't. Can you imagine how much I love you? More than I see you. As years go by, I know the only one for me can only be you. Oh man, my arms won't free you, and my heart won't try. It won't try. Hey folks, ready to try and get some justice for Julian Assange.
Got a quote here from Julian's dad. For Julian, it's his life. But for you guys, if he goes down, journalism goes down. And if journalism goes down, do you know what that means, folks? Democracy goes with it. Democracy requires an effective fourth estate. Without an effective, free and open media, democracy dies because those in power stop representing your wishes and start representing the wishes of the totalitarian-minded people in our society, those who run the big corporations and the banks and the pharmaceutical companies. They take control. This is happening right now. Julian has been held arbitrarily for 11 years now. The only charge they can bring against him is one of espionage. Absolutely ridiculous. Spies do not expose the truth. Spies hide the truth and sell the truth for money or for political power. Julian's not doing it for that reason. He's doing it because he wants to end these illegal wars and other illegal activity that our corrupt governments are up to. Now that they have effectively silenced the media, we will not hear the truth anymore. We will hear a narrative that will be repeated ad nauseum, and you are expected to accept that narrative and believe that everything is fine. But everything is not fine. Julian is in jail and journalism has been silenced. I'm talking about real journalism has been silenced. To defend your right to know, to defend a free press, to account, then that's the best thing you can do.
Julian Assange is still politically imprisoned in Belmarsh. He has been in prison for 967 days. That's 2 years, 7 months and 22 days. In January, the UK judge found that Julian should not be extradited to the US. He won his court case against extradition. Julian, his family, friends and supporters were hopeful. They thought he would be back in the arms of his loved ones. Yet he has remained in jail since winning his case for 333 days. It is getting close to a year of him being in jail after winning his court case. Does this seem fair? Does this seem just? To me, it is neither fair nor just. To me, this is vindictive and cruel. The fact that an Australian multi-award-winning journalist is locked up in prison in London at the behest of the US government and agencies is upsetting to me. I don't know Julian or his partner or kids. I've met his dad and brother. We have people who come here regularly who've been friends of the family for decades. I can't say I know the family, but I'm keenly aware that this travesty is not just horrendous for Julian, it must be harrowing for those who are close to him. It is appalling for us watching this charade. It affects us all. John Donne wrote in the poem, "No man is an island," as well as any manner of thy friends of thine own were, any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send for whom the bell tolls. The bell tolls for thee. What is happening to Julian is happening to us all. The mistreatment of this man, the cruelty of holding back his winter clothing, giving him a false HIV positive test, giving him a computer to prepare his court case with the keys glued down, spying on him, planning his death. This is diminishing us all. Without a free and open press, we have no accountability of the powerful. We have no democracy. If Julian goes down, we all go down. Don't let this happen. Write to your local member, email them, call them. There's an election coming up, and this is one of the times that you might be able to have the ear of our politicians. Don't send Julian to the country that planned his murder. Don't send him to prison here. That would be ludicrous. He committed no crime. Our federal police investigated him and concluded he committed no crime. Please tell the politicians to demand the release of Julian, demand the charges be dropped, demand that Julian be free. Free inmate, our mate, Julian Assange.
We've got this
Here we are, beautiful city, beautiful country, and it's hard to be completely happy when you're in a country where the government is not standing up for the rights of the Australian citizen, either at home or abroad. They're refusing to discuss a very important issue regarding a very important injustice which involves our human rights, our rights to know what our government is doing in our name, and most importantly, malfeasance and crimes being committed by public officials. We need journalism, we need media to expose wrongdoing by public officials so we can try and get better people to represent us in a civil society where justice is and abides. We can be wholly happy, but in any country where we have a terrible corruption and injustice in our own system, it's impossible to be completely happy or even to be happy and live with injustice which is just untenable. It makes us feel compelled to get up and say, we want to tell our fellow citizens, this has to be stopped. We have to stop public officials doing crimes in secret, not allowing us to see what they're doing and not being prosecuted for it. Julian Assange has provided the evidence of their crimes, and that is why they want his head on a plate. That is why they want his head on a pike, and they also want to scare the hell out of any other journalist that tells the truth about what they're doing. They're censoring the internet at the moment like there's no tomorrow. You don't have to be doing much research on the internet to realize there's so much censorship there. It's very, very alarming. It's almost akin to being in Soviet East Germany. We also got the situation, although it's a separate issue, but it's still a human right, it's still a crime against humanity of forced medical treatments like the Nazis did and were hung for after the war. And even doctors being silenced and compelled to give treatments that they don't want to or that they think are unwise, or if they say anything about
these treatments they think are wrongful. They are being targeted, deplatformed, deregistered, and if you get on the internet, there's plenty of evidence of it. But again, it's not coming through the mainstream media, as is the matter of Julian Assange. That's why we're here. If it was coming through the media as it should be, we wouldn't have to be here, and you would know about it. So we're trying to say, don't just believe what you read in the paper. Don't just believe what comes out of a politician's mouth. Don't just believe what comes out of a so-called expert's mouth that's enthralled to a politician or the state. We have to do our own research, and I think if you do your own research, you'll come to the conclusion we're here for a just cause. We'd like to invite you to join us here every Friday evening until the politicians sort this matter out. It's the lawyers won't sort it out. They're just passing the parcel. They're kicking the tin down the road, waiting for the politicians to sort it out. You know, Julian Assange, under the law, under every law of human rights, habeas corpus, Magna Carta, the Bill of Rights, everything said by the founding fathers of the American Constitution, they have no right to have him incarcerated. But yet, for 11 years, he has effectively been incarcerated, most of it in virtual solitary confinement, made incommunicado, so he can't tell you and he can't defend himself. It's very important to know another thing about these security laws, they so-called espionage laws. They basically take people into secret custody and make them incommunicado. That way they don't have the opportunity to defend themselves in the public arena. It's absolutely wicked. These are laws going back to many, many decades, if not over 100 years ago, that are designed for genuine espionage. Assange is not in any way guilty of espionage. He has exposed what the government's doing. He has reported the facts to the people because he believes that we need to know what's going on so we can make things better in this world for ourselves and for our children. The same with Edward Snowden. These people are whistleblowers. They're telling you the government is lying to you, the government's been doing wrong things, and they want it fixed. They're not really after trying to get politicians hung by the neck till dead, although probably a lot of them should be. They're just saying we need to fix this. The modern world cannot go on this way.
Welcome to the 106th Julian Assange Sydney Town Hall gathering. Julian Assange foresaw a digitally enabled dystopian tyranny, informed by electronic surveillance, coupled with artificial intelligence enabled propaganda and censorship. Unfortunately, Julian was smeared as paranoid by the mainstream media, which refused to take him seriously. However, it is now abundantly clear that Julian was absolutely correct. And I might add that he always said that he didn't think they were really after him. He always thought they were after you, and that he simply got in the way. The health passes we now see being rolled out and promoted all over the world are reminiscent of the Gesundheit pass employed in Hitler's Nazi Germany during the 1930s. Current restriction on members of present-day society who seek to maintain bodily autonomy are bringing in a two-tiered apartheid system, which gives compliant individuals greater levels of freedom than those who are non-compliant. Such restrictions occurring in the Western world were unimaginable 2 years ago. It now appears we are living under a global totalitarian regime, powered by corruption, and group think. The enemies of global tyranny are those who are non-compliant, self-reliant, critical thinkers, like Julian Assange, who can see we need to do something to avoid a great catastrophe by holding those exerting grossly unjust power to account through truth and the demonstration of unity. Digital technology has clearly expanded the power of global tyrants. Digital surveillance of our electronic communications makes it easy to exert financial pressure on individuals and organisations. 11 years ago, after WikiLeaks presented evidence of war crimes and corruptions to the world, PayPal cut off donations to WikiLeaks, foreshadowing how a social credit system might be employed to bring about compliance with the wishes of global tyrants. One way people can avoid digital tyranny is to utilise low-tech solutions as systems of organisation. Tradition can work as a low-tech solution to tyranny. Traditions can be created by people as needs arise. Traditions are able to persist without centralised control and are not reliant on a particular individual. The tradition of people gathering at Sydney Town Hall every Friday evening has now persisted for over 2 years. This tradition will continue until Julian is free. We encourage others to join this tradition because it is clear that we need to free speech, free journalism, and free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Inmate.
Our mate.
Julian Assange.
Inmate.
Our mate.
Julian Assange.
Free, free,
Julian Assange.
free, free.
Julian Assange.
Thank you.
We take a picture of the dog.
They never like a camera pointing at them. Yeah, it looks like a rabbit. Hello, hello.
Did you get one?
This one's from a close friend of Julian's, Yanis Varoufakis. War criminals are trying to kill the body and soul of Julian Assange. A fellow award-winning Australian journalist, Andrew Fowler, says the ultimate purpose of Assange's treatment is a warning to others. Thank you, Andrew Fowler, who's one of the few true journalists left in this world that speaks openly and freely and doesn't comply with the narrative, with the false narrative that we're all being fed. And Daniel Ellsberg simply says, if Assange is extradited, no journalist in the world is safe from life imprisonment in the United States. Full stop. That's it in a nutshell. They are all in the sights. Here's an interesting quote. Kevin Rudd, who was actually Foreign Minister under Julia Gillard.
Hey now! Hiya, folks! Just remember, let's take it nice, easy. It's going to be so easy for us to fall in love. Hey baby, what's your hurry? Relax, don't you worry. While we're gonna fall in love. Gonna tell you a little bit about injustice being perpetrated on an Australian citizen with the complete complicity of our political establishment. An Australian, completely innocent, bunged up in a prison overseas, held effectively, bunged up, effectively incarcerated for 11 years, and our politicians are having their Christmas holidays, getting ready for their turkey and their ham. No doubt they'll be entertained by Big Pharma, the military-industrial complex, and a lot of other big business people that want to run the world, take away our human rights, turn Australia into a communist state, dictatorship, whatever you want to call it.
Very local in this case. Possibly because, as a friend of Julian, for simply publishing facts that were delivered to him by whistleblowers. The precedent that will be established endangering every single Australian that dares to publish facts on the web that expose war crimes and systematic corruption. Remembering that is exactly the stated practice of every investigative journalist that works for the ABC, SBS, Channel 9, 10, 7 and Sky here in Australia. Then, without warning, after weeks of his shaving equipment being withheld to make him look untidy, he was literally dragged out and thrown into a van for more psychological torture. Then he is further psychologically tortured, thrown into Supermax prison with mass murderers and the most violent and brutal of humanity. It was the cruelest moment, and it hurt me terribly. I could only imagine what it felt like for him. Just do the same as your party's predecessor did. Do as your previous leader did for James Ricketson. Pick up the phone and save an Australian hero. Pick up the phone and call President Biden and call Prime Minister Johnson and tell them to do their part to save the people's democratic right in the Western world and free Julian Assange. Thank you, Pamela Anderson, for that very fine oration. We need to have this gloomy day brightened up. It's gloomy not only because it's overcast, but it's gloomy because Julian Assange sits in a cold, dark cell in Her Majesty's prison, Belmarsh. We hope they've given him his warm clothes this year.
And this song's called That's Life. And this is for Julian. Oh yeah! That's life. That's what they say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. Well, no, I'm gonna change my nation. There'll be the comes up in June. That's life, funny as it seems. Some people get their kicks stepping on dreams. Oh, don't let it get me down, 'cause this old world keeps turning around. I'll be a proper pawn and a king. I've been up and down and over and out. I know one thing, but each time I find myself flat on my face, I pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life. You can't deny it. You think of quitting, you're just not gonna try. If something's not happening by next July, I ain't gonna roll myself up in a big ball. I've been a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king. I've been up and down and over and out. I know one thing, each time I find myself down on my face, I pick myself up and get back in the race, and that's life. I can't deny it. I thought of quitting, but I just couldn't try. But if something's not happening by next July, I'm not gonna roll myself up in a big ball. Yeah, free the truth, free Julian Assange, folks. Tell your member of parliament they better do something or we're gonna vote them out.
No,
War, like any violence, should be the last resort. But our governments willingly go into these wars, led by their masters and the military-industrial complex that have either convinced them of the need for these wars or simply ordered them to go into these wars. But these wars are all unnecessary. These wars kill millions of people, destroy the infrastructure of countries, and we now have a refugee problem on this planet as has never existed in the history of this planet. Julian Assange believes that if wars can be started with lies, peace can be started with the truth. Think about that for a moment, folks. Lies are used to start wars, where the global elite make huge profits selling weapons to both sides of the war and controlling the resources of other nations. If we expose those lies, we can end the wars. And further, if we reveal the truth, we need never have another war, because the only people that want war are those that profit from war. And those people are a very, very small minority. The vast majority of us want peace.
We've been coming to Town Hall for 2 years now. It was 2 years a few days ago. And we've asked some supporters of Julian to say some words. And Bob Carr sent us an email to read out. Bob Carr is the longest serving Premier of New South Wales and is the former Foreign Minister. And Bob Carr has said, all the Australian Foreign Minister has to do is pick up the phone. That is, tell the Americans we want him free. Given all we do for the alliance, the Americans would have no alternative. In fact, I suspect that they are astonished that Australia has not asked them. So we need Scott Morrison and Maurice Payne to do just that. Pick up the phone and ask for the release of Julian Assange and for the charges to be dropped. Free Julian Assange.
Hey, how
Elizabeth Curry, author, architect, critic and columnist. She said, first comes self-censorship. Chances are this is already kicked in. Well, I have to agree with that. We don't seem to be getting the truth from our journalists, certainly not from the main media organisations. She said a grand jury offers no chance to shine light on the public truth on a profoundly complex moral situation. And Assange will likely spend the rest of his life in solitary. He would be put in solitary under SAMS in the United States. Free Julian Assange. He would be put in solitary confinement under SAMS in a small room about the size of, less than the size of a car space. And he would spend the rest of his life in that room without human contact. And we've been told that that jail is worse than death. To be in that jail, a former governor of the prison said that it's worse than death to be in that prison. We don't want to see an Australian journalist be put in that position. We don't want him to die in solitary confinement under SAMS. Please write to your local member, call them. Please demand the release of Julian Assange. Thank you.
The decision is imminent, so everyone's tweeting that the decision on the appeal to the denial of the extradition is imminent. So we've got our fingers crossed, and we're hoping for the right news. And if we don't get the right news, well, it's not going to change our response. We're still going to be here. We're going to be fighting, and it's disheartening that our government talks about human rights and talks about doing the right thing and out of one side of their mouth, and then they, unfortunately, they do the other. They do the exact opposite. A lot of people probably don't realise this. They don't pay close attention to the news. They don't pay close attention to what the government actually does. They have busy lives, they have kids, they have mortgages, they have a job, sports, interests, whatever. But if you do pay close attention, unfortunately, the more you learn, the less you want to know, because the government doesn't, the Australian government and Western governments don't do what they say. It would be great if they did. Their ideals and the principles they talk about are great. Freedom and liberty and respect for the law, but that's not what they carry out, and it's really disgusting. So we just hope that the right decision is made, and as I said, if it's not, we'll still be here. We won't give up. We are, as I was just talking to Tony, and he said, I can't stay at home while this is happening, and neither can I. I can't resign myself to this kind of fate for Julian, or for anyone who's courageous enough to stand up against the terrible things that are done in our names. So we hope that the decision is the right one, but as I said before, if it's not, we're going to continue to come here until Julian is free, because he deserves to be free. He deserves to be able to go where he wants to. He deserves to be able to come home and give a speech on these town hall steps, and that's a day we all look forward to here. And it's gone on for long enough. Time to bring him home.
We want to free Assange, please. We want to Assange come back to home, to Australia. He's saying nothing false, all is true. Just put it on the Google. Yeah.
We are all Assange.